this time, I'd like to call to order the Lancaster Township May 18th, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. For those who are able, please stand and join the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. A couple things before we get started. We are under a little bit of a time crunch here. We need to wrap this up by 7 o'clock. Tomorrow's election day. The Board of Electors are coming in at 7 to set up, so we might not keep this moving. I do want to announce we did have an executive session at 5 o'clock prior to this meeting to discuss both personnel and legal matters. So at this time, we'll walk through the agenda. We'll open up to public comment. Again, the procedure is for those who have signed in, please step to the podium, give your full name. This period is for taxpayers and residents only, and please try to limit your comment to 5 minutes. So first up, we have Ronald Lutz.
My name is Ronald Lutz, and I am the president and owner of Lutz & Martin Corporation Contractors. Anyway, I'm here with Matthew Fleming down, and we're working on a project at 321 Ferry Highway. And what we're requesting is that we are likely to get started in construction. And on Friday, Tom Thompson, the Township engineer, gave us a list of things. They've all been completed and were supposed to be emailed and Shirley Saxon Blackman this afternoon. Once Tom gets those things and approves them, we're asking supervisors to allow us to start to remove the dirt and get the site shape, to put some sidewalks in, and do no stormwater management until Tom gives us the okay. That's what we're asking to do from the supervisor. So we can get started in construction with moving the dirt and doing the stormwater, doing the network and all that stuff, do the environmental silt fence and so on. So we're asking to allow us to get started because there's some other things going on to get the land development plan finished. That's going to be a while because that's through Butler County. We'd like to parallel that with some of our work. Once Tom's happy with the drawing, we could get a motion to allow us and Tom to make that decision later in the week or so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have, I believe it's Matt Fleming.
I'm good. Yes.
Next up, we have, I'm not gonna, I'll butcher this last name, Sydney from the Butler Eagles.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Steve Bruskowski.
One quick comment. Would you speak us a little louder because the air conditioner unit we can't hardly hear? So
Sure.
Okay. Can you hear me? Very good. Lonnie, I have one question. The numbers you gave us last Monday, are those correct? As far as what we have today?
That was on the balance sheet. That
Yeah.
was accurate to that date. Yes.
So like 3.8 million.
Yes.
Good. This one's for Supervisor Markov. When did you know the township had over 3.8 million in the bank?
I can't remember the exact date.
Last 3 months, 6 months, year ago? You don't know? Has anybody ever checked the bank statements? I mean, monthly?
We define the bank statement. I mean,
Oh,
we talk about all the plug-in accounts we have.
Right.
Yes. It's in our reporting package.
So we knew back in August that we had over $3 million, at least $3 million.
Yes, we do.
But yet we still borrowed $2 when we could have paid cash. Thing is, we already spent over $20,000 in interest when we could probably put that money towards, work on one of the buildings.
Thank Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Next up, we have Connie Dohoff.
I'd just like to reiterate what Steve just said. There's been some comments on the videos as well as I've had people speak to me in person. They're asking supervisors and anybody else who can, please use the microphone and speak into it so you can hear what's going on. So on the next topic, Paige Place. Has anyone, Greg, Rich, Mike, Tom, anybody actually done an actual site visit to that something's on the drawings yet?
I've been on that property years ago.
Okay, maybe it's changed over the years.
I did actually ask that. I did actually ask that question for executive session. Both supervisors claimed to I'll be dealing with that. Sorry, I don't have permission. I get permission to walk it. I guess I can speak to you on walking the property. But I get permission to do that. I do not want to do that without permission. I won't hunt without permission. I don't want to trust that. So I have your permission. Can you state your name? State your name. Can you state your name? Thanks.
Okay, so.
I don't walk the property.
Okay, well, they have not yet. They
No,
started
we-
out. Oh, they have? Okay. And when is that not?
Oh, I've 3 or 4 years ago.
Long time ago for me, I used to hike through there with my mom.
So you don't know what's on the drawings actually matches what's there on the property right now, on the neighboring properties? That's what I'm asking. Because I showed you proof of what has happened on 2 projects in the last meeting, where the drawings do not match what's physically there. So that's why I'm asking. You're opening yourself up to a major lawsuit that could put this township in the bankruptcy. Let's see what else. Oh, this is just a little bit of a side note. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been questioned by a couple of my coworkers who have come up to the Harmony area for businesses and different things. And they're from as far as ways of Keysport and South Fayette and everything. And they asked me, why do the local municipalities permitted Section 8 housing to be built here? Well, I couldn't figure out what they were talking about, so I, we had more and more discussion. Come to figure out they were talking about the townhouses that are built at Seneca Hills and Creekside Manor down in Harmony. And I said, well, why do you think there's Section 8 housing? They said, it looks exactly like the Section 8 housing they see in Pittsburgh. And they're like, why are the municipalities doing that? So, to me, since you are going to build Paige Place, to me, it sounds like they're going to end up looking just like those. What's that going to do for property values and everything? But, that's all I have.
Thanks, Connie. Next up is Lisa Bennett.
Hi, I'm Lisa Bennett. I live on Schmidt Road in Harmony, Tennessee, with a neighbor here, and a couple other guys I noticed that were on the road through. I don't know how much you are aware, but Schmidt Road is in bad need of help. Not only for the 10-hour trucks, multiple trucks there for 7 weeks, 6 days a week, but the boat trucks we have every week. Personally, I have a problem with the drainage. On the opposite side of my road, they ditched and they stopped. Okay, there are 2 drains that come under my driveway, and one goes a little further down, it's stuffed up. What happens is when it rains really hard, it just goes right around my driveway and right down. It's washed out hundreds of dollars worth of gravel. I quit trying to gravel it. My suggestion would be to take a ditch clear out the end of the road. It's a dead end. It empties out into the creek, which goes under 79 big time. So I don't, I just put something about the zoning, something 500 feet. I don't understand all that. But I don't believe it's a difficult fix. But something has to be done. I mean, my driveway's flooded, my yard's flooded, my horse pasture's flooded. It's just a mess.
I did meet our roadmaster out there.
Pardon me?
I met our roadmaster out on Schmidt Road, and our township manager we did take a look at it, and they are very aware of the problem. And we talked through some potential solutions, because that water is destroying the road too, from underneath it, I explained it correctly.
The driveway, the road, the whole my yard, I mean, it's going on for years, but it's enough. You know, I kept trying to put gravel and it just gets washed away, washed into the yard. Like I said, there's nobody at the entrance. You can go straight down in the creek, which goes under 79. I don't see what the problem would be. I have a son that lives on the opposite side of the road. He runs heavy equipment for a living. He was going to try to come to me again. He would be available to help if needed. He can run any piece of heavy equipment, excavator, whatever you need, more than happy, you know. But you really need to do something. It's bad. If they could redirect it from coming to my property from the other side and then down, I would be so grateful.
Thank you. And we're looking at options, because any repairs we do on the road, but in if I'm misrepresenting what happened, but that drainage is hurting the road repairs as well.
Right.
So it's a problem we want to fix. It's just a matter of figuring out.
Okay, and then I realize the road needs done, but that's, I'm still, that's a new up till next year, so they're patching it.
Maybe Ed can comment.
Yeah, we did a little bit of patching and got some off for a couple of projects that were scheduled for the year. But we will be back to Schmidt Road throughout the year with more patches. But Rich had some good ideas that he wants me to run by Tom and see if we can get that approved. I haven't reached out to Tom yet because we've been a little bit busy, but
Okay, but if you want my son Tyler to help you, you know, she'll be happy to live in, he's in town, usually works out of state, but he's right now he's in town. So, yeah, he's very good with you guys. Just putting it out there too, but yeah, we really need something.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Just my interest, what is the idea, what are your plans?
what's that?
What are the plans you want to mention on? Correct.
It was the sump drain that was up on Schmidt Road that you guys did up there years ago. Where you dug a sump and put the rocks and river out there. Yeah. That's the one that would take care of the water that's washing out Lisa's driveway. As far as the rest of it, we can take it down. If we don't go so far, we won't collect so much. That's all stuff that Tom would have to engineer up for us, draw up for us, and approve.
So it's really, how much effort is we talking? Days,
I mean,
weeks, how, is it a big job?
in a perfect world, we'd be done in 3 days. But
I don't know. Really.
It would depend on what the drawing would call for. I mean, sometimes it calls for basins and piping, and sometimes it's just ditching.
Just a dog.
Next up, we have our office at the end.
Y'all know that I'm not like a second answer, but I have 611. I was here for a very petty thing with my neighbor, which is being resolved. Thank you. The reason I'm here tonight is about a paving company. I don't know if you're aware, there's several people that have their driveways asphalted. It's Road Star Paving. First of all, they did not have a permit. I stopped and asked them for a card because they were down in Scotland Terrace. And the gentleman said, well, where do you live? I said, 2 miles out. He said, I'll come out, give you a bit, you know. So I let him come out. He told me how much. I said, I need to think about it. It's expensive, you all know. But I said, I have to find a way to get the money. I've been looking at yes, no, maybe. I went to Silly, my son called me, said, did you tell them to start the driveway? I said, I never did. He said, they're here. They're doing the driveway. So I went home. I did not have a permit. That was one thing I asked before all of this happened. I probably need a permit. He said, yeah, it is a small driveway, it's fine. you know. I talked to Magnus, told him my story. I said, my bank didn't want to give me the money. They want cash in hand. Cash. $20,000. I didn't even buy cash. Gave him a check for the balance. He emailed me that night. We put the check on the dashboard and flew out. There's nothing in the check. So I did that. And I did iterate to the police. You know, this is why by night I can see what's going on. And I have bought phone call. This is not, you know, they're hounding me. They are harassing me. But Captain Canal told me I didn't get approval for them to do it. I didn't want it. But he said the police were there and I didn't get approval. I do want to see a copy of the police report because I did not talk to a police officer that day. I talked to Deb. So I did not get my approval. So now I'm in a long running situation. You don't need to know. But anyways, how many driveways have they done in Lancaster Township? We're making a lot of money for it. With the permits.
So you get a copy of the police report, Rachel, that has to be filed. Sure.
Yeah, how do we typically release police reports?
You can just come in and fill
Yeah.
paperwork out,
Like this
certify
special,
money.
yeah. And dear, you didn't give them an okay to do it, but then you gave them money once they started, right? That's your problem, unfortunately, but I wouldn't pay them a cent more.
They're not done. They have to come and seal it. And they found me constantly. But I offer them a check for $1,000, cashier's check. I'll give them $1,000 every month until it's done. I'm not saying it's not good money. That's what I told them. That they're going to sue me. I said, but then also,
Working with the Better Business Bureau too, because they started work without their authority and then they bullied you into paying them.
I signed nothing. Nothing.
And the only problem legally you have is that you gave them money from the work, so you sort of had a little agreement that way. But I wouldn't pay them another cent. I'd probably report them to the Better Business Bureau and tell them to sue you and bring it on and you can go to the magistrate.
They said, you don't want your check. But then please, I've been here for any reason. And the reason I went to the police was not politics. But that's the feedback I got from them about what's happening in this township. You're not going to stop it. And the people who get in township meetings are like kind of made fools of themselves. And they have to talk to the township meetings for us to come here. I know what's going on. I said, I know what's going on. Not to go for this, to go for that. But he brought politics into
Who's that? Who did that?
the police chief.
This is a,
We were discussing the incident,
Right.
and am I correct that you also signed a piece of paper with them?
I did tell him that.
Okay, then
It's
we're,
a-
I'm
it's
gonna
a
discuss
lie.
the case, I'm not gonna discuss the case, but you signed a piece of paper saying that this was wrong. You gave them money now, so I'm not gonna discuss the case or whatever, that's what
No,
I'm
I'm
saying.
not. That-
I'm just
that
saying we're gonna tell the whole
problem is
story, is what I'm getting at, so that's what I'm saying.
Well, Mike, I think the question was about politics. What are you saying?
She said because I'm picking sides, the Kurds versus non-Kurds, or who are picking
Hers,
sides.
right.
I thought you said people.
Don't tell the police about your neighbors, solve it between the two of you, which I've tried. I never called the police on it.
Thank you, Mrs. Sapp. I'm just sorry. Thank you.
But are we all, when we come to a township meeting, are we making fools of ourselves? By what people say, that's what was good. I wish I would have had.
And I will comment on the Roadstar paving. They came in and did get a solicitor's permit after the fact that they have sold you. You came in and got a driveway permit.
Right.
And I've had a couple other people come in and get a driveway permit. And after they saw, whenever they do, I mean, I don't do a background check. I think we're gonna start doing background checks though on solicitor applications. And I did Google them to see if they were a legitimate company, and it says they've been around for like 22 years. They're
They are
based out of Beaver County, and that they're known for their honesty and good service. So, I mean, they are a legitimate company. Pardon? Yeah, so they have a good following. So I kind of like did that after the fact, but and Bonnie and I discussed it after I had issued, and we've never really had a good solid procedure in place, but I think we're going to start doing background checks on individuals
I
that,
was just wondering, who was the first one? Did someone contact them to come, and then the neighbor said, oh, you know, how much? And then it just.
I think either Ed talked to him or Cornell, you
We
did.
don't know because they just, that day we stopped them.
Yeah.
And made them come get a solicitor permit.
Yes.
And gave them a handful of copies of driveway permits.
Yeah.
And said they needed driveway permits, even if they're resurfacing.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, because
Yeah, he was the one that said we have an existing driveway.
I handed them 10 copies that morning, and they couldn't do any more. And they told me they were only doing one that day.
Well, yeah, the police were gonna stop him. You know, at my house, they wanted, he said we talked to you and you said to go ahead. No one talked to me about that, please. You come down,
Yes.
and gave me a permit.
Yes, and I
He
said,
said the police wanted to stop it, I didn't want to know that.
yeah, the police were gonna stop them.
But they didn't talk to me,
Correct.
I'm the property owner, why didn't the police?
Well, they talked to your son.
No,
they
they
did talk to
did
your
not
son.
talk to them.
When I got there, David was talking to me.
Now we're getting into he said.
yeah.
Yeah. But what I can tell you is when I got there, I said, if you brought the driveway permit tomorrow, I don't want to stop them because you're gonna have a full joint in your driveway. I was doing it to make sure that you got a good driveway. It's not your fault that they lied to you. It was their fault. So by us shutting them down, you would have gotten a less quality driveway. You had a full joint in the middle. I was trying to protect your driveway by letting it continue. So if you didn't want them to pave it, you should have told me right then. I never even gave them permission. The officer was standing right outside.
I did not talk to him.
He was talking.
That's what he said, the police report.
He was talking to your son.
We're not stopping.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's
over
okay.
five.
Thank you.
I'm 10 minutes. I'm 15.
That was it for public comment. Steve?
One time we did have signs posted at the beginning of the township that said solicitor permits. I don't know if we took this down, or we're still
I'm
on.
not sure. I would already
I mean, that's just, you know, we need to, maybe we should get a couple more of those.
That's all we have for public comment. I do want to add one thing. There was one day last week, Thursday or Friday, Ed, we had 100 students here from Sunny Valley, volunteers.
Yep, Thursday.
Want to give an update on what they did? They did a great job.
Well, we got a little bit of bad information from other townships saying that kids would come here and play on their phones and they wouldn't get much done. But our group wasn't allowed to be on their phones, so they spread like 100 yards of mulch in about 25 minutes. So we didn't really have enough work for them to do. But they did a really good job. We were going to have them set up the picnic tables in the playground, but it was only like, it felt like it was,
cold and
It
rainy.
was under 50
yeah,
degrees.
they weren't really dressed for outside, so we had them spread mulch. They were hard workers. They did a great job, and they had fun. So,
And they planted the
I want
flowers.
to thank Ed and the road crew for the oversight. Supervising 100 kids is easy. I also want to recognize Cheryl because I know you've done that in here and body, both of you, so thank you for your efforts.
They were good kids.
Thanks. All right, for sake of time, we'll keep moving through the agenda, administrative business. Motion to approve the minutes from the April 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. Those are circulated. Make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries unanimously. Motion to approve the bills to be paid from April 2026 totaling $84,932.28.
Make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Motion to approve the $7,000 donation to the Zeta Library. That isn't in the budget, and we typically, that's what we do.
I'll make that motion.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Peggy Stewart Barkley has resigned from the Parks Committee. So a motion to accept that resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Seconded, this discussion. Yes, is that okay?
Go ahead.
I just want to thank, anybody at Township that volunteers for, serving the Township, I think, deserves some recognition. She's been on it for a long time. So, to thank her publicly, being on the process. I see her here. All right, so thank you.
All right, take a vote.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Deb Scott has submitted her resignation from the planning commission. So a motion to accept that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept her resignation.
I would rather than
I'll second that. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. And thanks for all you do. It's above the planning commission. We all realize that.
Thanks.
Motion to approve first Energy-Lancaster Township street light agreement.
Another disagreement.
It was in that.
Yeah. There's a copy of it.
What is it?
Todd, you want to give us some background, please?
Yeah, so this agreement is put in place by the power company. They're gonna replace the 4 public street lights with LED to save electricity. That's all it is.
So is there cost of Township on this?
I don't believe so. No.
I'll make a motion.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to old business. So pre-approval conditional upon solicitor and board of supervisors final approval of the set-aside agreement with police force.
You review for the residents of the set aside.
Yeah, Tom, you want to give us some background on this?
Typical with developments, when they're in the final form, they give us a set-aside agreement. That set-aside agreement essentially covers the cost for all public improvements that are going to be required as part of their project. The set-aside agreement then establishes the fund or funds or bank agency that they're going to use to then draw down those funds, which ultimately come to the supervisors for approval. So it's pretty standard documentation that happens with all developments. That's what the set-aside agreement is.
I just received a copy of that a few hours ago. It seems like a pretty lengthy document, but also a sizable amount of money, right? $3 million.
Correct. They had provided us with costs for all of their improvements. Reviewing those costs are in line what we see typically what it would cost to perform those improvements. So again, once they would complete those, then they would ask for you to draw down those funds and deplete that account once they're done. So that's
Under the supervisors.
the supervisors have the control to release that. For example, if paving wasn't done to your standard, then you wouldn't recommend the release of that. So you have the control to release those funds in each draw that comes to you on a monthly basis.
And on that paper, sorry for the delay, it's just my knowledge. So you do the inspection, or say for paving, for road?
Typically, we have done those inspections depending on what it is. The township manager and or Ed would go out as well to review those, especially when it comes to paving. But if it's storm sewer installation, catch basin installations, we typically have somebody there to inspect that.
Thanks for your time, Tom. Appreciate it. I'll make that motion.
I second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Pre-approval, conditional approval upon solicitor's final approval and board of supervisors approval for the developers agreement for Paige Place.
Mr. Chairman, can I also add to that?
Sure.
So the developer has agreed, and it will be included in the developer's agreement, we just wanted to put it on the record, that they have agreed to donate to the township the piece along Scholars Run Road. obviously at no cost to the township, and Mr. Graham, their attorney, will provide the township with a meets and bounds description of that parcel, so that transfer can be accomplished, and that will be included in the developer's agreement.
I make the motion to pre-approve with the solicitor's final proof of the developers.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to new business. Appointment of Dennis Hamilton as our EMC, Emergency Management Coordinator for Lancaster Township. Bonnie, can you tell us why we need this?
Well, at the moment, we simply don't have an emergency management coordinator, and every municipality is required to have one until an agreement can be reached with the COG and an EMA. This is the best solution for the township to appoint someone.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Mr. Hamilton,
Congratulations.
appointment of Owen Pella as the floodplain administrator for Lancaster Township. Is currently our zoning officer by Township.
Make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously. Moving on to planning, land use and zoning. Motion to approve Draft Custom Construction LLC, heavy equipment storage building located on the property on 217 East Lancaster Road, Harmony, and the parcel is listed on the agenda.
Bonnie, did you have anything for this you want to be displayed, or was it just for Paige?
Only for Paige Place.
I'll make the motion to approve project for draft.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Motion to approve Pine Valley Estates subdivision and water treatment plant per the PADEP, which is located, the property is located at 107 Matthew Drive, Harmony, PA. Parcels are listed there. Tom, you want to give us a little background on this, please?
Sure, we had seen this submitted back in February. They had submitted, excuse me, a subdivision plan to split the property out. In that plan, there is a notation that no further mobile home pads could be erected on the site without coming back to the supervisors for approval. The question that was raised at the February meeting was whether septic was available on the site. They were since have gone out and done perk tests and provided their septic data regarding that, so they comply with the ordinance from that perspective for the subdivision plan. At the same time, they had submitted a request by DEP. If you recall at that meeting, some people had complained about water quality. They had approached DEP, and the request was to put an addition on for water treatment facilities to improve the water quality for that mobile home park. That plan requires a land development plan process. It has been recently submitted to Butler County for review. It'll go before the Township's Planning Commission next week, but everything else in the subdivision aspect is approved. So you could approve the subdivision portion of that, but the drawings really aren't going to change much. You could also approve both the subdivision and land development plans subject to Planning Commission reviews by Butler County and Lancaster Township to help move that project along.
Just to clarify, by doing that, this is going to get the residents of Pine Valley theoretically water. So
it would, because otherwise it would come back to you at your next meeting, then you'll go through the review process. If Butler County reviews it next week or later this week, then it would speed that up. So it's out of your control. And again, I don't see any changes with the drawings that would warrant waiting any additional time.
Okay, thank you. I mean, these people that struggle for water.
Yeah, this is, I'll make that motion. I guess I better word this to you. You want me to do that again?
To me, I guess I would recommend approval of the subdivision and land development plan subject to any conditions that Butler County Planning Commission or Lancaster Township Planning Commission make regarding the plan?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve, their salvo and, subject to any approvals or requirements by either the Butler County Planning Commission or Lancaster.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion carries unanimously. Motion to approve Paige Place Residential Development Final Subdivision Plan at 400 Prairie Highway, RMPA, for the parcel listed on the agenda.
Did you send that to anyone?
It's too large of a file, so
Yeah,
I can,
actually,
yeah, if you'll,
Shirley had sent that, right?
I'm gonna take control.
yeah, if you don't mind. So it was requested that we have this available just so that everyone could see if they needed or wanted to. Was there any specific plan anyone wanted to see? Or page?
I think we would defer to the board if you have any questions. I think the plan, we addressed the comments. This is the final approval on this. We're here for preliminary approval. There were a couple of conditions for some changes that were requested. All of those changes were made. So we're here tonight. We'd like to answer any questions anybody has. If you want to go to C200, that's probably as good a thing as any would look at. Plan essentially stayed the same. I think there were requests to have a snowshoe, which we did. The planning commission, they relocated some of the crosswalks at intersections to address those comments. I think we provided the planning commission with data on the fact that right turn lane was not justified under the warrants under PennDOT requirements, so we could not put a right turn lane in because PennDOT will not permit it. Boulevard entrance, PennDOT once again did not permit it, so we went back to the standard entrance. I think all the other comments on the plan were addressed. We got my neighborhood transportation engineer and then more from Shepard County, the civil engineering on the project, if you have any specific questions.
Supervisor.
I don't.
It's still one way in, one way out, right? One way in, one way out.
Correct.
Is it a boulevard
Correct.
entrance?
Correct.
Is it a boulevard?
It is not, you just said that.
I didn't know.
That's what I'm sorry.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve, Paige Place Residential Final Subdivision.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 2-1.
Can I get my vote?
Oh, yeah.
No, just for safety reasons. So it's not a safe situation running blind.
I'll move on to the agenda. Discuss Patriot Auto's request to start construction prior to approval of the land. Tom, you want to give us your background on this, please?
So, Patriot Auto, essentially across from Scott Ridge Road, had originally applied for a zoning hearing board approval to be able to put parking essentially in the front of their property which the building next to them has parking in front between Route 19 and their building. Zoning hearing board approved that request. Then they came in to actually go through the subdivision process to split the two buildings up so they could own that building. That was granted approval as well. Through that process, they didn't really show the parking on their plan, on their subdivision plan, but it was known that that was going to happen at some point, where they're now at that point where they want to do the parking in front of that building. So they're going through the land development process. As Mr. Lutz had mentioned before, they're requesting, I guess, permission to get started with some of the grading work, I guess non-essential stormwater work associated with the plan prior to going through the land development process and getting that formal approval, which we would anticipate probably having next month at your meeting on your agenda to have that approved. They did give us a plan. We did review it. There were some minor comments. So I guess I don't see an issue with that. They could do work that essentially your ordinance doesn't prohibit as far as site improvements, as long as it doesn't involve stormwater. You know, anything related to stormwater, they would need a stormwater agreement signed by the supervisors, as well as funding associated with that, a bond or some type of offset funding to be presented. So to me, those are things that will happen as part of the process, but I guess I wouldn't have an issue with them at least starting the process, what they can do, as long as they don't violate the ordinance.
I'll make that motions about Patriot Auto to get started, whatever it is that I guess they're doing paving.
Ultimately, they have site work to do, clearing, grubbing, E&S controls. I mean, that's their site's under an acre. They don't need a permit, so it really falls in an area that doesn't violate an ordinance to be able to do that work. And then ultimately, they'll have a stormwater management plan that gets approved, and you'll act on that. So,
Make that motion about get started and approval of any outstanding items next quarter.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Moving on, building permits. Number of permits issued in April were 2. Year to date we're at 16.
These new home building?
The majority are not.
Solar is one, and I think one's a deck.
Okay, thank you.
And year to date, there's only been a few homes. Most of it.
Yeah, just one, maybe two. One.
All right, we'll move on to the reports. Concerning report, Michelle, anything to add this evening?
Nothing to add to my written report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisors, Mike, we'll start with you.
Yep, nothing to report.
Rich?
Nothing on my end.
I'll give a quick report. I attended 3 COG meetings, 1 in April, 2 in May. A lot of that time was spent interviewing for Bonnie's replacement. We have a candidate that an offer was made to, and we accepted. I did attend the May Parks Committee meeting on May 5th. That's all I have.
I just want to add one, sorry, maybe one check, I messed up. I'm sure a lot of residents got emails that have ever, anybody that's ever sent an email to the township, might have got an email from either Shirley or myself, a document attached, hopefully you don't open, but, yes, we get a virus, we're trying to put things in place and prevent this from happening again, so just apologize to anybody who actually opened that. Sorry, that wasn't us.
Thanks, Mike. Manager report, Bonnie.
I'll keep it short and sweet tonight. We're still working at ironing out a lot of the bill payment issues and making sure we're not paying late fees. I also attended a COG meeting. One of the biggest items was discussion over selling the COG a piece of equipment. The township would actually gain revenue from that, but still have access to the piece of equipment. The newsletter is scheduled to go out shortly, and everyone will be very happy to know that the cleanup day is indeed scheduled. It is actually going to be the week of June 8th, so the second week in June. And then as far as the COG goes, I also participated in talks. We'll begin next week with discussion of how the township can benefit from being included in their parks plan.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Treasury report, Barbara's not here. Bonnie, anything to add on the treasury?
I do not have anything from her.
Thank you. Administrative report, Shirley.
I have nothing to add. Was only here for a couple days.
Engineer's report, Tom, anything to add this evening?
No, we've been reviewing plans. Other than that, there's really nothing else.
Okay. Moving on to police, Sergeant Cornell, anything to add this evening?
So you get placed on Energy-Lancaster from a certain resident that Curtis Kraft and Inside Piper continually speaking. We spoke with both of them companies. They provide their GPS mapping with their vehicles that show the actual speeds of the trucks going up and down. They're willing to share that with the individual. They also, I pulled the study up. The study clearly shows it's 36.5 mile an hour is the average speed on that road that we're receiving at 27,000 vehicles. And Graph Construction and Inside Pipe are willing to purchase signs, speed radar signs to the township to also alleviate the complaint for that road, so we can use the other speed limit signs on the road. They will not pay for the yearly data collecting, which is $1,500 a sign. They will purchase the signs.
Thank you. Road, Ed, anything?
Yeah, we're pretty busy in May. We're base repair work on Churchill Road. We chip sealed all the roads we had out for bid. We started some boom mowing. We hosted students last week. We spread about 100 yards of mulch. We did some patchwork and some ditch work on Schmidt Road. We're very far from done there. We made we thought we screened around 550 ton of millings. It's always a guesstimate. It was 485 tons, but this past Friday we made all that into stabilized gravel that we made last year and put down along Whitestown. We did some work to the infield of the softball field and upcoming projects. I meet tomorrow with Corey from PennDOT for the multimodal grant. So we're gonna get those numbers back. Tom would like to have them by the end of the month. So we're gonna get them back as soon as possible. We have a lot of spraying and boom mowing to do. Ditch work throughout the whole township. But that stabilized gravel, we have plans to put it on the hills and bends along East Lancaster, Swain Hill, Scott Ridge Road, our main roads that the berm keeps getting blown out. So that's it.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could I make a quick comment to add on one of these things that you mentioned? Hi, Dan Fox, over on Swain Hill. I just want to make a recommendation to the township and yourself on, based on the topic that one resident brought up earlier about stormwater management and the rain, so that we're trying to get that redirected. Once you guys get that project moving forward, gets that approved, no matter what amount of money it is, that's something that we talked about at the workshop meeting for hazard mitigation that could be submitted to the county as a project that would mitigate flooding in that area. So it would show that the township is working on mitigating the impacts of flooding for residents. Rather, if it's done before you can get any funding federally or not, it shows that the township is working on that. Is that about the Schmidt Road project? Yes. Oh, okay. Yes, so you guys can submit that in the effort that's going on right now for the hazard mitigation plan to be included as part of the county plan, so it would also help with potential fund funding, either retroactively or proactively.
Thank you. Thank you. Advice. Zoning, no one is not here, so move on to planning commission, Dave.
Board of Supervisors, I have 2 things to report. The last time we talked on the egress ordinance, the goal was to have that to you by this meeting. However, some issues came up on our last meeting on the number of dwellings, whether or not we could support that or justify that legally if it was challenged. So we deliberated during the last meeting, looked at fire codes, looked at other municipals who use the number of trips, and we decided to change it to 50 dwelling units rather than 40. And our solicitor, one of Michelle's counterparts, said he could support the justification that we came up with. So that's about it.
We haven't done a legal review of the ingress egress yet. I think he helped you with some language, but I just want to be clear that we haven't done a legal review or can support the 50 at this point, because we really haven't looked at it.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, he told us he could support 50, whether that's official or unofficial, that's the number we're going with.
Oh, that's fine. I know it's a recommendation of the board. Once the board tells me that I can review it, then we'll do a legal review, but I've never been asked yet.
Okay, well, just telling you what we. So anyhow, that's gonna change from 40 to 50, and we should have that at least, final draft by this, by next week's meeting. And then you would ask for me for a schedule of completion for the Saldo, the PRD, and the zoning. We're gonna need to collaborate on that. It started down the road of, coming up with a schedule, realized we really need to talk about that. That has to be done in our official meeting, can't be done offline. So we'll have that as an agenda item on the 26th of May, our next planning commission meeting. We'll have dates for you by the end of that meeting. How would you like that transmitted? Email?
That's it, email, body, reports.
Okay. That's all I have.
Thanks, Dave. There is no other executive session, anything else we have prior to. So that brings to close the agenda, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
Thanks for attending, CEO.